Thanks, Michael. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Michael Flanakin. I work for Microsoft. I'm on the cost management team. I joined the cost management team in 2017. This is right after the Cloudin acquisition. I was asked to come over and help bring Cloudin into Azure, which it's been a bit of a whirlwind since then. But a couple of years ago, we started having a slew of people come to us, different customers come to us asking, "Hey, why aren't you guys participating in FinOps Foundation?" And I looked at it and I was like, "Whew, it's going to be a lot of work. I don't know if we're ready for this." And then a coworker at Microsoft said, "Hey, so I have a meeting with these guys." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I got to do this." And then ever since then, it's one of those things you look back on, you're like, I don't know why I hesitated because everything just feels so right now. So yeah, my primary role right now, it's kind of shifting a bit, but I have historically been focused on analytics and insights and cost management, and now I'm kind of shifting over to more strategic initiatives and partnering with the FinOps Foundation, which is a little bit about why we're here. But yeah, that's about what I do.
So, Azure's cost management products, I guess, and tools have been, some of them have been developed internally, some of them have been acquired. As you said, they seem to be coming together rapidly and proliferating, particularly this year. Can you give us some of the highlights of the ways that those acquisitions and individual tools are coming together?
We're looking at things in a few different angles. Like there's a number of these open source initiatives that we're working with, like things that we're doing with the FinOps Foundation, like for instance Focus and whatnot. And then also the Azure Kubernetes Service team is working with Open Cost just to help from that container front. So we're participating in open source in some of those capacities. We're right now we're investing very heavily in just helping organizations learn how to adopt FinOps. Because that's one of the things that we've seen is that as people are moving to the cloud, just really we see a lot of people grappling with how do I manage and optimize cost at scale, and that's really what FinOps is all about. I often tell people that FinOps is about culture of cross group collaboration, and that's one of the things that we want to help educate people on and help get them more experienced with so that we can so that they can be more successful within their organizations. We're doing that through a lot of different learning resources. You've only seen a little bit of what's to come. I expect a lot more to come within the next few months and within this year. And we're also just working with different teams to try to figure out how to best incorporate that into the existing products. We're looking at building out some new products in this space, which are going to be exciting to see. And then also just like our services offerings. Like I feel like we don't do a great job about talking about our services offerings, but we got a lot of services offerings in this space that are really there to just help people be more successful.
So it does really seem to be a good model to be able to say, like, these are the tools that you can use to do this FinOps job. Here's the training
Yeah,
resources that sort of directly support the use of those tools, and then here's the services people who can help in the event that you want
yeah,
to augment your own staff or
yeah.
your own capability in that way.
Yeah, and especially going back to that point of like, if FinOps is about a culture of cross-group collaboration, we can give them products, sure, that can help build that collaboration, help bring people together a little bit, but it's really a job of the people. And then this is why I mentioned the services aspect. As much as I'd like to push products all day, it's about the people. The people are what makes things happen. So the products are just there to help support the people. Yeah, I think I can't say enough about how important that is.
So one of the clear themes I think coming out of a lot of your releases this year has been getting more granular data, more data from more sources together and in the hands of more people. So I think, building on
Yeah,
it's all about the people, getting them the information that they need to make good decisions, whether they're using Azure tools or whether they're using their own tools or whether they're building a separate dashboard to do that. There's been a huge number of changes in export. Maybe we can deep dive into some of those changes and what are the use cases that are driving that? What are the customers doing with that data as it's coming out? How can they get access to new formats of data and
yeah.
new structures?
The way that we look at it is when people like first have that initial question of wanting to learn from the data, they always start within the portal. within our cost analysis tool. So some of the things that we've done in cost analysis tool is we're really looking at how can we help deliver more insights to you with less effort, right? So what you'll see is some of the things that you might have seen within the last year are things like the evolution of smart views inside of cost analysis with some interactive drill down experiences to really help get you into what is it that's causing the changes in the cost. And there's a lot of things that we want to continue to do there to kind of build out that experience to make it easier for you to just drill into the cost and find the answers that you're looking for. But there's always going to be a point that you hit that you need more, or you need to merge the data with your own custom data. And you need to start looking at other data sources to really understand why is it these changes happened. And that's why we're looking at evolving our exports platform, right? Because there's only so much that we can do natively in the cloud in the portal. The real power comes when you can take that cloud data that we have with your own usage data, right? So that you can marry those things up to do things like allocation and unit cost economics and whatnot. What we're looking at doing right now, and we announced a preview for this in November at Ignite, is we want to make more data sets available to you through exports. At Ignite, we expanded the cost and usage data that we've been giving you with actual and amortized cost. We added focus, so you can now get cost and usage aligned to the FinOps Open Cost and Usage specification, which is really exciting. I like to tell people that this is actually the best version of our cost and usage data. I might get in trouble for saying that, but it truly is, and I can share all the reasons for that. But we also added the ability for you to get prices exported, so you can get the price sheet. You can get reservation details, reservation transactions, and reservation recommendations. This is just the initial set of data sets that we wanted to make available. There's a bunch more that are going to be coming, so stay tuned for that. Also eager to hear from y'all as far as what are the things that are most important for you. Definitely have my own laundry list, but I think the more important thing is what is it that you need to help streamline your efforts, because we do think that having exports push the data to you on a recurring basis makes your job a lot easier. So this is something that you can go sign up for through the Azure portal. We have a feature at the top of cost management experience, a little try preview button that you can go in there and sign up for the exports preview. But we're rolling this out, so you should start to see this new experience, which also comes with some usability improvements. There's a bunch of performance and scalability improvements that'll just make the exports run a lot smoother for you as well. But you should start to see those things roll out within the next month or two.
Do you want to go back to Focus? I know that your
Yeah.
exporter of Focus format data was one of the first available anywhere. So why is that the best data source?
It's funny. So I've been talking about Focus with a bunch of people inside of Microsoft recently, just to kind of get everybody up to speed, and also to collect a little bit of feedback. Because right now we launched the Focus 1.0 preview at Ignite, and the intent right now is to collect a bunch of feedback to understand how are people looking at Focus. Is it ready for them to adopt? And if not, what do they need so that that way we can get it to get that feedback in for the official 1.0 GA. So that's kind of where we're at with Focus right now. But as I've been talking about Focus with my internal teams, I've been telling them about explaining like all the different dimensions that we have and whatnot in Focus. Some of the things that make Focus a better data set than the actual and amortized data. I think the first thing I'd start with is the size of the data set. Focus combines the actual and amortized data into one data set. At first, when I tell people this, they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so huge. But the interesting thing to note is that from a number of rows perspective, the focus data is about the same size as the amortized data set, or it's about the same size as the amortized data set, with just maybe like about 100 rows extra per month. And that's it. This is important because for anybody who needs to look at what their build costs are and their amortized costs are today, they have to get both those data sets. If each data set is 1 terabyte, then I mean, hopefully they're not that huge, but if they're each 1 terabyte, then you got 2 terabytes of data that you're sitting on. 99% of that is duplicative. They're the same across both. Versus with Focus, you'd really see like a terabyte plus 100 extra rows, right? So the size savings that you get and the cost savings you get both from storage and from compute on top of that is going to be big, right? Relatively big based on what you do today. So that's one. But there's also a bunch of data cleansing things that we did within the focus data set. Let's see, as an example, there's some cleanup within the regions. There's more data available through things like we have extra on-demand cost columns that we provide. Some of these things are things that we've talked about in focus, but they didn't quite make it into the spec, but we went ahead and released them anyways, knowing that that's the direction that focus is going. So we wanted to make those things available. So that'll make things like calculating savings and from commitment discounts or even from negotiated discounts. It'll make calculating those types of things a lot easier than it is today. I mean, those are a couple examples. I could run through all the columns and give you all the different things, but those are a couple of them.
And I know you're also supporting different rates data coming out of price sheets as well. So you're able to not only see, I guess, your own cost usage, but you're also able to see the prices of different SKUs coming in at the same time. So
Yeah.
great way to be able to compare your performance overall.
Yeah, yeah, we've added a couple of extra data points to the price sheets to allow our enterprise agreement customers to see their like the EA base prices. This is what the negotiated rates are based on, and whatnot. So to help give them a little bit more insight into those discounts.
I know there have been differences in depending on the type of contract that a customer has with Microsoft in terms of how they could pull certain data or which APIs they could use to pull data. Is that something that Exports is addressing? Is it standardizing the way that any customer sort of can get access to their data?
Microsoft does have several different account types for depending on how you kind of engage with Microsoft and how you work with us. Whether you're coming in off the streets, going to azure.microsoft.com and creating a new account, or you're working with someone from the field, or even through some of our partners. There's a bunch of different ways that you can engage with Microsoft to acquire Azure and M365 and all the products that we have and services that we have. We're on this path, and it's a long one, but we're on this path to try to bring all those different experiences together and drive more consistency across them. And that's what Microsoft Customer Agreement is. I want to say the majority of people have already been transitioned over to Microsoft Customer Agreement, but there's still a lot out there that we're moving over across each of these different channels of customers coming in. And there are some changes to how the different account types work. But the nice thing is, in moving over to Microsoft Customer Agreement, there's a lot more flexibility. And I won't go into the differences between the different account types. Um, but the two primary ones that we're looking at now, which is where we have most of our customers and partners, are in Microsoft Customer Agreement and then Enterprise Agreement. Most of our CSP customers and partners have moved over to Microsoft Partner Agreements, which is part of Microsoft Customer Agreement. But anyway, so on the data acquisition side, the data ingestion side from a customer partner perspective, exports is consistent across. I mean, most of our experiences are consistent regardless of what account type you have. The only things that differ is that each of the different account types have some different attributes that they have. Like, for instance, Enterprise Agreement has concepts like account type, they have department, things like that. Where Microsoft Customer Agreement doesn't have that. Microsoft Customer Agreement has billing profile and invoice section, or they have service period start and end dates. They have product orders, things like that. So there's some different concepts between the two. What Exports tries to do is tries to normalize that as much as possible. So we've got EA and MCA aligned to a single set of columns for the most part, but they're mostly aligned. The other channels, the other account types have not been fully aligned, but that's mostly because we've got about 95 or so percent of people off of those channels. So we're really just working on getting that last push to get everybody moved over to Microsoft Customer Agreement. Exports kind of aligns the data acquisition. I think from a schema perspective, I would say if you want that extra mile, I'd say that's where focus is going to do you the best. That'll give you the best experience because that solves it for that for the different channel types, and it'll also solve it for any of the cross cloud things that you may have as well. My selfish goal with focus was I wanted to drive more standardization across all the different account types that we had and the different data formats that we had for those account types. I've had some people who are only using Azure come to me and say, "Hey, why do I care about Focus? How am I going to get any value out of it?" And I said, "Well, you're EA. You know that you're moving to MCA. Plus, you also have some pay-as-you-go costs that are on different account types. All this stuff comes together with Focus." And they were like, "Oh, yes, that's amazing."
That's it's interesting. There's even standardization across internal ways of paying for the different
Yeah.
services. That's great. The other big trend I noticed was, of course, AI, which is the giant elephant in every room these days. It seems like the
Yeah.
use of
Yeah.
AI has been introduced into. I think it's another area where Microsoft, I think, is successfully partnering with folks like OpenAI to deliver
Yeah.
Copilot capabilities in cost management and cost analysis, and coming up in some new products. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you're looking at AI use in the
Yeah.
tools?
Copilot is the big thing. If anybody was paying attention at Ignite, I don't think you could look in any direction without tripping over some Copilot statement. But yeah, Copilot is integrated into the Azure portal, and there's a preview for that. So I definitely encourage people to sign up for that if they don't already have it. But cost management is integrated directly into that, so that way you can ask your questions about cost and get those answers without having to go and dig through the data, switch between different views to kind of get some of those answers. Just ask what you're looking for. We're really looking at the ways people are using that to figure out where to take that next. So that'll be really interesting to kind of see how that evolves and how y'all use it. There's a lot of things that are coming together. You know, when I look at focus as being like this language of FinOps. You know, there's one thing that we're working on with Focus, this use case library that kind of brings together all the things that you need to, or like a lot of the questions that you would have around when just working in FinOps for all the different capabilities. The use case library has all this knowledge of things that you need as a practitioner, as well as how to the data in Focus and how you can use Focus to get those answers. I'm really excited to see how Copilot can leverage things like the use case library or even the KPI library, so that when you come and ask you Copilot a question, it already knows how to get those answers. It knows all the questions that you're probably going to ask already and can help give you those answers. So I released a blog post in December talking about some of the things that we're looking at, where you can take the cost data and using some of the new exports capabilities that we have, pull that directly into Microsoft Fabric, where Microsoft Fabric has Copilot integrated as well. And then I'm really excited to see how Copilot can leverage things like the use case library, the KPI library, just the FinOps framework all up to understand what you want and what you need. So then when you ask a question, it already knows how to get those answers for you, and it can just give you those answers, give you insights that you didn't realize that you might have needed because it has all that learnings from the framework, and to really just help you accelerate what you do. All right, so we're looking at some exciting ways to kind of help Microsoft Fabric make you scale better, and I see that from a couple different angles. For when I look at this for like executives and finance people, like all the non-technical stakeholders that are out there, we can empower them to do more, and we can also help FinOps teams scale better, because instead of having to answer a lot of the questions that these non-technical users might not know exactly how to get to the bottom of because they don't understand the data enough, or maybe they don't understand the tooling, like Microsoft Fabric gives you a lot easier way, especially powered by Copilot, gives you a lot easier way to just ask the questions in plain language that you need, give you some of those answers, and then free up the FinOps teams to go do some of those more challenging things that we all strive to do, like unit economics. Right? So those are some of the things that we're kind of looking at and trying to figure out how can we help organizations do more.
I think it's interesting because it's also that we're standardizing some of the language even between clouds or between
Yeah,
clouds and SaaS providers and between different teams in our organizations with some of the focusing. But we're also
yeah,
relying on those basic FinOps things too. The idea of tagging things or labeling things appropriately in
yeah,
the environment so that we can then really categorize them and sort them effectively.
yeah.
And this will highlight a lot of those areas as well. Hopefully, if you're a FinOps team and you're out there, if you're using Azure and you want to engage with some of the new capabilities that cost management is rolling out, how would you recommend that the teams go about doing that?
We really just love getting feedback because that's really the thing that drives every bit of what we do. We have all these ideas of things that we would like to go do, and we have lots of a pretty broad vision of all the things that we think make sense. But we really all of our decisions are based on the feedback that we're getting to help us understand what direction to go. So whether that's our experiences within the Azure portal, like the smart views and the new AKS views that we've built inside of cost analysis, reservation alerts that are available. These are things that came from customers asking us, "Hey, I need help in doing X, Y, and Z." Right. So that extends to the new data sets that we're exporting, the things that we're looking at in Microsoft Fabric to kind of help address some of the feedback that we've heard around Power BI, as well as things like the FinOps Toolkit, right? This open source collection of tools to help you accomplish your job. This is all based on feedback that we're hearing from people. So I think if I was to ask you to do one thing, let us know what it is that we can do to help you. And you can engage directly with us in the Azure portal through the feedback that we have there. I do look at that constantly, so definitely use that. You can send us a message on Twitter or X, I guess I'm supposed to say. uh, Engage with us. I'm constantly in the Slack community, so if you have a question, drop something in the Microsoft Cloud channel, ping me directly. Happy to help. There's a bunch of us out there, a bunch of Microsoft employees that are out there in Slack. So drop us a message. Let us know what it is that you need, so that we can help kind of tweak our plans to help you do more.
Excellent. Well, I know, Michael, you've been a huge supporter of all the things that we do at the foundation and all the things we're doing in Focus. So thank you for that. And thank you for
Yeah,
talking
absolutely.
today.
Stay tuned for more insights and perspectives on where FinOps is heading next. Thanks for your support.